Welcome to College Smart Radio, helping you bring into focus the true cost of college and how to tackle the runaway cost of financing a college education. College Smart Radio is hosted by Beatrice Schultz, a certified financial planner and founder of Westface College Planning. Now, here's your host for College Smart Radio, Beatrice Schultz.
Welcome to College Smart Radio. For families on that long road to college savings, 529 prepaid tuition plans may be a good place to save for college. They allow account holders to essentially pay the college tuition of the future at the college rates of today. On today's College Smart Radio program, we're going to discuss prepaid tuition plans, what they are, and why they may be a good choice for part of your college funding plan. Hi, I'm Beatrice Schultz. Welcome to our weekly show, College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of a college education. Our show is all about bringing up-to-date and practical advice to parents who are dealing with the cost of a college education for their kids. College is expensive and getting more so each year. With a private school costing up to $60,000, a UC costing close to $25,000, and a California State University running $25,000 per year, parents need more help than ever. We bring you that help by sharing ways to pay less, tapping into financial aid, and prioritizing your source of funds to make sure you get through the most expensive years of your life. Based on my own education and experience, I share my insights with you week in and week out. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering and a Master's degree in International Business. I'm a certified financial planner and the owner of the San Carlos-based college planning business, Westface College Planning. We host workshops on college planning and consult with parents on a daily basis. In addition to my insights, I bring in experts in many areas of the college process, from counselors, financial aid officers, college administrators, financial professionals, parents, and even students. You'll learn firsthand the ins and outs of how to pay for college and survive financially. In addition to our show, you can find lots of powerful information at our collegesmartradio.com and westfacecollegeplanning.com websites. We have many articles that I've authored with up-to-date information on navigating the waters of paying for the runaway cost of college. We have a monthly e-newsletter full of content about college planning. We also have posted a glossary of key terms used in the world of college planning. Terms like cost of attendance, 529, FAFSA, subsidized loans, and so forth. And we have a link to our free community parent workshops, which I host live as well as via webinar to teach parents about how to pay for college and how the financial aid system really works. Let's get into today's show. For families trying to save for college, prepaid tuition plans may be a good investment, allowing account holders to essentially pay the college tuition of the future at the college rates of today. Prepaid tuition plans allow investors to purchase tuition for a student at current rates, even if he or she will not attend college for many or several years. But prepaid tuition plans have actually become a bit of a rare commodity. Traditionally, prepaid tuition plans were sponsored by states, and the number of states that offer prepaid tuition plans has been dwindling, and now it's at about 11 states. In fact, many of our listeners today may have not even heard of a prepaid tuition plan, simply because California is not a state that offers a prepaid tuition plan. On today's College Smart Radio show, we're going to be discussing prepaid tuition plans and focusing on a new private college 529 prepaid tuition plan that allows account holders living anywhere, including California, to purchase prepaid tuition certificates to one of 270 private colleges across the U.S. Let's start with what's a prepaid tuition plan. Prepaid tuition plans allow investors to purchase tuition for a student at current rates, even if they're not going to be attending college for several years. So timing and age is a crucial factor with many prepaid tuition plans. Most plans require 3 or more years before the funds can be used, and that the beneficiary be 15 years or old or younger at the time of starting the account. In traditional state-funded prepaid tuition plans, it pays for future college tuition at any of the participating states' eligible colleges or universities. Or it offers cost-weighted payments that can be applied to funds at private colleges or out-of-state institutions. The program does this by pooling and investing the plan's funds, allowing it to make enough money to exceed the pace of rising state college tuition. Essentially, you're loaning your money to the state's plan in return for a locked-in tuition rate. Tuition can be purchased in monthly installments or in a lump sum. There's different ways to do it with different prepaid plans. For the traditional state-funded prepaid tuition plans, the prepaid plans are often most reasonable value and are great value if you're absolutely certain your children will be attending an in-state school or a school that's going to qualify. Owning a 529 prepaid tuition plan does not guarantee admission in any of the participating schools. Colleges don't have to give any special consideration because you've prepaid to go to school. You still go through the regular admission process. But if your student is accepted at one of the participating colleges, the savings the family has already built within the account will be directly applied to the college costs and can typically be withdrawn for tax-free or used tax-free for those qualified educational expenses. So while most state-sponsored plans do allow funds to be used for out-of-state college tuition, there's often some kind of penalty, either in the form of a fee or some kind of payment based on your state's tuition plans versus the outside state plans or the private plans. And as a comparison, a traditional 529 plan, not one that's a prepaid plan, but just a source of funds for college, is a vehicle that we've discussed on other shows, and in fact we've talked about the pros and cons, but it allows participants to save money for any college on behalf of a designated beneficiary, typically their child, the same way as a prepaid plan, but it doesn't have as many limits, but you don't get to take advantage of the fact that the prepaid plan promises you that they're going to allow your funds to keep up with the inflation of college. So contribution to any plan and any investment earnings it generates can be used to pay for the beneficiary's qualified education expenses for a normal 529 plan. And that can include books, room and board, and related education costs outside of tuition. For 529 plans, the prepaid plans commonly are covering primarily the tuition. So it's unlikely to be 100% of your savings that you're going to need for college. And if the beneficiary's education plans change, investors can change the beneficiary for both the prepaid plan and a traditional 529 plan, or they could withdraw the funds in what's called the non-qualified distribution, meaning the funds, if they're not used for education expenses, would typically be subject to state and federal tax plus a 10% federal tax penalty. So let's get back to prepaid tuition plans. Traditionally, prepaid tuition plans have been offered by specific states, and some states guaranteed their prepaid plans and some don't, meaning they can terminate or change the plans at any time without obligation to investors. Every state has slightly different rules. For example, Massachusetts allows parents of any state to lock in tuition at today's rate as long as their child wants to go to a Massachusetts public or private school. Whereas in Washington, the GET program requires that the beneficiary or owner be a Washington resident at the time of enrollment, and it is designed to cover Washington-specific plans. So the state plans are much more, I should say, regulated, or they're more limited in what colleges they can cover. On today's show, we're going to discuss the private college 529 plan, which is not a state-sponsored plan. My guest in the studio today is Lloyd Leanse. Lloyd is a managing director of Prager Co, where he's structured more than $1 billion of transactions for colleges and universities. Recently, Lloyd played a key pioneering role in structuring and deploying the first service to offer student transparent comparisons in the $6 billion per year private student loan marketplace. Some of you will recognize his name because Lloyd was a guest on College Smart Radio a few weeks ago when we discussed sources for private student loans, and specifically the resource Private Student Loan Marketplace. You can find a link to the broad podcast of that show and all our past shows at www.collegesmartradio.com. Lloyd is also a member of the board of directors of Tuition Plan Consortium, LLC, a nonprofit company which offers the only nationwide prepaid 529 college savings plan, which is why I invited him back to the show this week to talk about the prepaid tuition plan, private college 529 plan. Hi, Lloyd. Welcome back to College Smart Radio.
Hey, Beatrice.
Today we've been discussing, or I guess you're going to be wearing a different hat, discussing the private college 529 plan. But maybe you can give a little bit of discussion about yourself and how you've even gotten involved in this 529 plan.
Sure. Well, through my work at Prager, I focus primarily on college and university finance. And when an opportunity came up to be a volunteer board member on the Tuition Plan Consortium board, I jumped at it because I thought it would be a great way to give back and help out with this plan that I think is really a great one for a lot of families.
So I've been discussing the traditional state-sponsored prepaid tuition plans. How does this private college 529 plan different from these plans?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to take one step back and I just say I'm really glad that you made such a strong distinction between 529 investment plans and 529 prepaid plans. A 529 investment plan is like an IRA in the sense that you are subject to the risk. You are the risk of the stock market is yours. You have that risk. With a prepaid plan, since somebody else is taking the risk, you don't have the stock market to worry about.
Yeah, thank you for re-emphasizing that fact, because I think it is so confusing for parents when they're listening into the show to try to figure out, well, wait a minute, what do I even have? When often people say, well, I think I have a student IRA or a student 529. You're with us on College Smart Radio, where my guest today is Lloyd Leanse, a managing director of Prager Co. and a member of the board of the directors of the Tuition Plan Consortium, LLC, a nonprofit company which offers the only nationwide prepaid 529 college savings plan. We all know that college is expensive and will most likely be some of the most costly years for a family, and understanding how to navigate the college costs to save everywhere you can is a smart thing to know. To help families beyond this radio show, I host community workshops live and via webinar several times a month that explain the costs of various colleges, how the financial aid system works, and things to consider to prepare yourself for this tremendous expense. You can find my workshop schedule at collegesmartradio.com. We'll be right back with Lloyd Leanse on College Smart Radio.
For more information on today's topic, visit collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. College Smart Radio continues in moments on AM 1220 KDOW. Contact Beatrice Schultz at collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. Now, back to College Smart Radio with your host Beatrice Schultz on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway cost of college. I'm Beatrice Schultz. I'm talking with my guest, Lloyd Leanse, about the prepaid tuition private college 529 plan. Lloyd, we were just talking about the difference between the 529 savings plan and the 529 plan.
Prepaid plan.
Prepaid plan, sorry. And one of the things that you mentioned during the break is that the prepaid plan actually covers tuition as well as mandatory fees.
Right.
Okay.
So an ideal situation or a good situation for a family would be to have both an account with private college 529, since that's a prepaid plan, as well as an account with one of the savings plans, perhaps their state savings plan, in order to cover room and board and other kinds of costs that aren't covered by the private college 529 plan.
Okay, so it can make sense to have two different sources of plans. That also could be a good plan if you had more than one child and or if you have 3 kids, at least one of them is going to go to a private school or go to one of the schools on the list. That is a good way to hedge your bets, I guess you could say, and say, hey, I'm a family. All our kids have always gone to private schools. We expect that we're going to go to. I think that I'm going to be sending my son to Middlebury College. And if he doesn't go, I've got another son or daughter along the way.
Right. I want to also point out, though, that the private college 529 plan that we've been talking about does give a refund. It does offer a refund to a family that needs it for any reason. Their child doesn't go to one of the member schools. They don't go to college. You can either change the beneficiary, as you said, or just like with any 529 plan, or get a refund. One of the features of the private college 529 plan is that refund is bounded. You will lose no more than 2% a year, and you will make no more than 2% a year. So that doesn't necessarily sound like a great deal unless you compare that to what happened to investors in 529 savings plans in 2007, 2008, 2009, during that period of time when the stock market took a big dive. A lot of people would have been very happy to have had a guarantee of only losing 2% a year.
I know. Hasn't our economy become a little crazy? We're just happy we don't lose money, but it is a reality. And when you're thinking about saving for college, that's one of the choices people have to make is, is that an area I want to take risk? And so with this plan, your worst case scenario, I think you said, was minus 2%. But let's go back a little bit and talk about the actual I guess, the functionality, or how would someone even buy in? How would someone